Welcome to the 34 Sports Podcast. This is the 19th episode, and today I'm doing it by myself. I was busy last week, couldn't get one up. College kind of flew right at me, but we're back this week. We'll start off by doing a half a meatball of the week. This week was fairly easy. Green Bay's coach Matt LaFleur decided to kick a field goal instead of go for 7, possibly 8. Well, it would have been 6, possibly 8, to tie up the game. And then Brady got the ball back and was able to just run the clock out. So I don't think that takes a whole lot to figure out who the half a meatball of the week this week is. Fairly dumb, one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I haven't watched football for very long, but that was just that irked me. I knew as soon as he did it, it was a mistake. Rodgers wasn't happy. What an idiot. I mean, analytics, he's the Mike D'Antoni in the NBA. He's Mike D'Antoni in the NFL. He's gonna have good regular seasons, and then he's gonna blow it in the playoffs with his analytic crap that they push nowadays, doing stuff like that. Brady had already got 2 chances, and you gave him actually you got 3 chances. He had a field goal on the last one, and you gave him a 4th chance. You don't do that with Brady, you idiot, and just an idiot. That was very, very stupid. Just very stupid. All right, that's enough of that. Let's move on to my predictions for the Super Bowl. Last weekend was fairly good. I'm recording this on a Tuesday. Last weekend was very fun to watch. Well, at least the Packers-Bucs game. Chiefs-Bills game, I turned it off after a half. I turned it off after the first quarter. I was doing something else. But the Bucs got out to that early lead, and then all they did was just make the Chiefs mad, and then the Chiefs just pound them in the ground from there. Poor Bills fans. I feel bad if you were a Bills fan and drove halfway across the country to see your team get trounced on national TV. Just not very good. Bills, I mean, I don't even feel bad for the Bills because you really could not put a fight up against the Chiefs when they play like that. That's the Chiefs team I've been looking for half the season. They've been playing lazy, in my opinion, for most of the season. Last 8 or 9 games were only about like a touchdown difference, maybe 10 points, a couple of them. Or sometimes even a few. No, I don't. It was always by 1 touchdown. But they finally showed up, and that's the Chiefs team that won the Super Bowl last year. We finally saw them again, and right at the right time. I mean, look at what happened to the Seahawks and Russell Wilson at the start of the season when they started off all hot, and then by the end of the season they just blew out both tires. I mean, if they were an 18-wheeler, they would have blew out about 17 tires by the end of the season. That was horrific. Originally Russell Wilson had the grabs on that MVP trophy, but the way he played was just bad. But we're not talking about Russell Wilson because he wasn't able to get to this point. But Bills still put up a decent fight. They'll be back. Just little things like Stephon Diggs watching the other team, the Chiefs, get their trophies, just standing there watching. That'll be motivation for him. I'm sure he'll have he already had a good season this year, so it's just more motivation for him. But yeah, the Chiefs moved on there. Packers-Bucs went a little bit differently than I thought it would. I thought the Packers were honestly going to go there, and I thought it was honestly maybe their year. But like I said, LaFleur decided to kick a field goal when you had somewhat of a chance you were getting the ball back. 4th quarter, like 4 minutes left, maybe 3. Just not a very good decision. Your analytics got you nowhere. Now you're at home. But the Packers, Brady gifted them 2 possessions with the interceptions. Both of which I think was actually Mike Evans' fault. Mike Evans played like garbage that game. I mean, you have one drop from I'm trying to think of the other receiver. It'll come to me, but Mike Evans, the first one, he wasn't even looking at the ball, specifically in the 4th quarter picks wise. Brady threw 3 in the second half. But the first pick that Mike Evans messed up from Brady, Mike Evans was just too far. He wasn't even looking back at the ball, and the defender was just able to get right at that. And the second one, it went right off of Mike Evans' hands, and it had some heat on it, but he's supposed to be that kind of guy. So yeah, Mike Evans has got to tune it up, which leads me into my Super Bowl predictions. 2 weeks from now, we got a ways, but Chiefs and Bucks at Buccaneers. First time that's ever happened. Congratulations to them. I don't think anybody's stopping the Chiefs, and if the Bucks throw some picks late, they're already gonna have a hard enough time if it's not over by first half. I hate to say it, but if the Chiefs get rolling, it's gonna be done in the first half. But either way, I think the Chiefs have so much firepower that it's gonna be hard to stop them. If they play like they did against the Bills, there's no doubt in my mind that Brady, despite being there 10 times, is gonna stand no chance against that team. They've just got it both sides of the ball. They got Pro Bowl defenders, guys that can get at Brady, and on the other end, you give them the ball, they're gonna put up points. The Buccaneers defense, they're not gonna get at Mahomes like they did at Rodgers. Rodgers was missing Bakhtiari, which is a guy they paid like $50 million to be a lineman. Unfortunately hurt. But it's really going to come down to, if they can get it. But Mahomes is so shifty in the pocket. Like, he'll run out of the pocket and still drop a dime, and you still can't catch him. And it's just, I really just, there's going to have to be some big thing and just the Chiefs get upset or something. I think the Chiefs are going on a run. This is 1-2. I think they're going to have a three-peat next year, if I'm going to be honest. I don't see, unless pieces move hard, anybody touching the Chiefs. They're just so built. I don't know. It's like 15 Warriors, not 15, the 17 Warriors in the NBA, the 96 Bulls. Just teams like that. I think in basketball, there's got to be NFL ones that were like that, but I just can't think of them because I haven't watched NFL too long. But I got the Chiefs on 2 Sundays, February 4th, maybe? Let me look at the calendar. February, oh wow, it's like the 8th this year. February 7th. I have the Chiefs winning it all this year. Who knows who'll get the MVP? Maybe Kelsey will have a good game, but it'll probably be Mahomes. So we'll have to see. Let's move on to a different topic. There has been a lot of talk. There was yesterday, but it got shut down today about different QBs moving. The one I'm talking about that got shut down was Aaron Rodgers, but he went on the Pat McAfee show this afternoon and said he's not leaving. So that's one less QB in there. But there is a good at least probably 10 to 15 QB positions that are open right now. You've got, they didn't even put Matt Stafford on here. I wrote down a list of all the QBs they say that are on the move. Namely, I'll just go through the list. Number one, well, not in no order, but they were listed in some sort of an order, but I don't. First off, you got Deshaun Watson, Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo, Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater, Mitchell Trubisky, Jameis Winston, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Alex Smith, and Ben Roethlisberger. We'll go through a few of these. Won't go through them all. Just get rid of a few straight off the bat. Dak Prescott's going to get the money in Dallas because they did nothing without him. I'm trying to think who else. I think Mitchell Trubisky's going to stay with the Bears. They saw enough that they're going to risk it. I don't know if it's the best decision in the long run for them, but that is what it is. Ryan Fitzpatrick will stay in as a backup for the Dolphins. They were kind of playing at the end of the season. I liked how they were doing, where they'd have Fitzpatrick come in if Tua was having a bad game. That's not bad for them, and Fitzpatrick knows he's got minutes there. Alex Smith, I know he had a great comeback, but with him being he came back and then he got somewhat injured again where he couldn't play. I'd like to see them get somebody more long-term there because that Washington defense is good, but the offense has not really been consistent. I mean, they've been through like 4 QBs, so they need to find somebody that they can just have there all the time. I've heard, I'll just get into it. I've heard that Ron Rivera, who was the Carolina Panthers coach when Cam Newton was there, would like to bring him back. So maybe we'll see Cam Newton go to the Washington football team. That's probably one of the top destinations because Washington got in the playoffs just on defense alone. You're in that weak conference, weak division, not conference, with Cowboys, the Eagles, and that. But I mean, Washington's going to struggle to get in the playoffs, though, if Dak Prescott is healthy. That Cowboys team has got 4 wide receivers. They do need to retool on defense, but that offense, they've got CeeDee Lamb, they've got Amari Cooper, even though to Ezekiel Elliott a little bit. Zeke can run the ball for them. You got a decent offense down there. Now, you got guys like, we'll stay in the AFC East. Carson Wentz, he could be on the move, but he couldn't be on the move. Who knows? That Eagles team, I would not have fired the coach. I would have left him there. But they've done what they've done, and now it's a question of who's going to be the coach. And if they are going to be the coach, do they prefer to have Wentz or do they prefer to have Jalen Hurts there? That's a big what if. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Eagles all around. I don't think they're horrible if they have a decent QB, and it seemed like Hurts was doing okay with them. But I don't think they're that great. I mean, they let me put it this way. They look a little bit better than the Lions, but not much. And most people who watch football in any capacity know what kind of level the Lions play at. But that should be interesting. We'll move on to the Lions. Matt Stafford and the Lions have agreed to mutually part ways. Just kind of sad for me because I've unfortunately been dumb enough to watch the Lions for the last my whole life. I'm 20 years old, but I've really only watched sports for the last 10 consistently. But we had Stafford for 12 years. Couldn't really get anything done. We're kind of half rebuilding, which is what Detroit teams like to do. They like to do a little half rebuild, not actually full blow it up, so they just keep being constantly mediocre. And for the Lions, it's worse than mediocre most generally. But Stafford is a great quarterback. Needs to go to a team where he can get a win. I've heard Indianapolis is a big place that he could go. Indianapolis would probably work for him. They were set up when what is his name? Oh, the QB that left in. But that team is set up with a great offensive line. They were built for Andrew Luck. They were built for Andrew Luck when he decided to retire because they had beat him up so long. They finally got him a line, but it was too late because they had done it to themselves. But Matt Stafford, he's gonna be good. If he has time to throw in a pocket, he's gonna be fine because he's never had time to throw in a pocket because Detroit just constantly wanted him to get beat up like they have with every great star that they've had. Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, Stafford. I mean that's the big three that I can think of. I know there's definitely more. But yeah, it'll be nice there. There's a few X factors that I just don't know what they're going to do. I do think Jameis Winston will stay with the Saints, but they could very well move for somebody else. You got a Jimmy Garoppolo out there who's decent in the right system. I don't really see him as a guy who can just do it himself. He has to have the right system. You've also got Jared Goff, who is a fairly decent quarterback. I don't know why for Atlanta that Matt Ryan is not on here. I would think they'd be moving somebody to get, I don't know, maybe a Goff. I don't know. Matt Ryan and Goff are a lot alike for me. I don't know. The Jets, I don't know the Deshaun Watson situation. It's hard to tell whether he's going to get moved or not. He could very well stay right down there with the Texans, or he could be moved. Who knows? You've also got Watson could be going to the Jets, and you've got Sam Darnold there. But more or less what I'm getting at right here is just there's going to be a lot of movement. It's probably going to feel a Pat McAfee today. I watched the Pat McAfee show, so I take from him I'm not like direct quoting him most generally, but I do get some of my ideas from him. It's going to be almost like the NBA free agency. That's his big thing, he said. It's slowly moving that way because the players are getting more where they want to they want to control their own destiny, and that's what they've started to do. And it's more fun for guys like that, specifically, and talking about the Pat McAfee show, for him to have constant just upheaval. That's good for news outlets, and yeah, it should be interesting. But who knows where everybody's going? I'm pretty sure Stafford's either going to Indianapolis or New England, but that's still up in the air too. So who knows at this point? All right. I'm going to move into some NBA, but before I do, I would like to take this time to just remember Kobe Bryant. This is the date I'm recording on, the Tuesday, January 26th. 1 year ago, he passed away. I was thrown heavily. I wasn't exactly a hardcore Kobe fan. I'm not a Lakers fan by any means. I could give or take the Lakers. But I won't get into that because we're talking about Kobe right now. But I did respect his game. He always had a hard work ethic. Just was always in there. He was always wanted to be competitive. I'm still not happy that they declined the Chris Paul trade. I feel like that really ruined the end of his career. Could have been a little bit different. Who knows? Could have been big difference. I don't know. But Kobe was just a great player. He was a great dad. Him and his daughter both gone now after that last year. But it seemed like, for me, I don't know if Kobe was doing something in the world, but it seemed like right after Kobe had passed away, the whole year just went downhill from there. You had Kobe, then you had the Australian bushfires, and then now this big virus. But eventually things will get better, and I just always will remember Kobe. He just had such an impact. I did that tribute video, and this is not a plug. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to. But I put it up on my YouTube last year. I felt like I had to do it. Kobe was big. It's hard to put it to words. It doesn't feel right that he was gone as quick as he was. There's been basketball players that have died, but none. I guess it's just because it was my era. I'm young. I don't really have an era, but just like in my lifetime, just like that's the first one to like die. Other people may have had, like, some people were really big into the Beatles, so when John Lennon died, that was big for them. Elvis. But I guess for me, it's Kobe. But but just take today and just, it doesn't have to be mine. Just pick somebody's tribute video or highlights of him and just go watch it. You watch as much as you want or as little as you want. You should just take a minute to remember what kind of a player Kobe was. He was just electric on the court. He just gave it his all. Was not there to lose. He was no load management. He shot free throws when he had a torn ACL. I think it was ACL. Well, he had something torn in his leg. I think it was ACL, though. Kobe was just the essence of hard work and dedication and being in the gym every day, putting it together. And I can say I don't think I fully have that embodiment because I have a lazy streak of time, which is why I don't get this podcast out every week. But if everybody was more like Kobe, this world would be a better place. Kobe took no flack. Kobe was there to get down to work and do what he had to. So yeah, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Definitely gone too soon. Alright, well, one thing that Kobe loved was the NBA, and we're going to move on to it. This week, some of the big performances. Mainly last night, LeBron did have a very good game. 46 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers. Turnovers hit it there. It is what it is. But LeBron, really good game. Matchups-wise, it was fairly easy for him. Okoro was no match for him there in Cleveland. You had Torian Prince, but LeBron had his way. proved a point that he still is one of the top players in the league at year 17, 18, 03, 2020, 17, year 17. But LeBron just constantly just still stays relevant. Looking like that Lakers team is top tier right now. They are first in the West, 13-4, and just keep rolling. Another guy that had a good game against Detroit. Detroit's hit and miss. Do have Mason Plumlee. He's not a horrific defender. Still, though, Bam Adebayo was able to take him to town. 41 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 turnover. Bam, just an electric player. I like him. That's the kind of big you want in the league now. Big that can dribble, bring the ball up the floor, play defense, and score when you need him to. He's just an all-around. Realistically, if I had to start a team with one center, like if it was just I could pick anybody, it was an expansion draft, but nobody could be saved, it would either be Bam Adebayo or maybe like a guy like Jokic. It would depend on what I had other pieces around, because if he didn't have as much playmaking, Jokic would be the man. But if I just wanted a defensive dog that can do everything, Bam Adebayo is definitely one of the top centers for that. And yeah, just good game against Detroit. Dame, I'm not sure, against the Knicks. It was against the Knicks. 39 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, and 3 turnovers. Dame, unfortunately, is isolated by himself with no CJ or no Nurkic, so it's going to be a struggle for Portland. But Dame, if anybody can do it, it's Damian Lillard. He's done it in the past, but it is going to be a struggle for him. Good game, though. I mean, Dame is a top-tier player. It's a shame Portland just can never completely get it together. They've got a better team this year, but again, injury bug. But yeah, those are 3 big games this week. Other guys have big games, but I don't have them written down. Now I'm going to go through the standings and give my thoughts on some teams that are kind of on the ins and outs and what I think about where the standings currently sit. I'm going to list them out. I'll start with the East and just stick to the East, and then I'll move to the West. East, 76ers at 1 at 12-5. Pacers at 2, 9-6 record. 3 Bucks, 9-6. 4 Celtics, 8-6. 5 Nets, 10-8. 6 Cavs, 8-7. 7 Hawks, 8-7. 8 Knicks, 8-9. I think that's the first time the Knicks have been in playoff contention in like 5 years, so that's a plus for them. 9 Bucks, 7-9. And Bulls 7-9, 10 Magic 7-9, 11 Raptors 6-9, 12 Heat 6-9, 13 Hornets 6-9, 14 Wizards 3-8, and my Pistons at 15, 3-13. Many people, the tone I took there, many people may think I'm unhappy with that record, but I'm actually happy because Cade Cunningham looks like a really good prospect coming out of Oklahoma State, so I'm fine with them being bottom tier material. All right, let's start. I don't mind the first few. Good for the Pacers really picking it up this year, even though they don't have Oladipo anymore. They still have a good squad, and they've been playing with without Oladipo for a couple of years now, so that's good for them. It's good that LeVert actually got traded because we just found out. Hopefully, a quick recovery for him, but he did have kidney cancer. That little abscess that they found on the outside of his kidney was actually cancerous, so they were able to remove that. And when he comes, he should be back eventually. Well, he will be back eventually. There's no shit. He's going to recover. And he should be a good piece for them. But it's really good for him that he got traded, because if he didn't, it would have been another 6+ months before they looked at it. And could have been really bad for him. 3 is the Bucks, 9 is, I'm not going to repeat the record, but Bucks, Celtics. That's at 10-8. I mean, they've been playing kind of iffy sometimes. They lost back-to-back to Cleveland. But that Nets team is sitting at 5, and they're big chilling. They should be able to pick it back up and get it going. If they don't, there's no excuse. They have 2 MVPs and 1 borderline MVP when he wants to play. And that should be good for them. I have seen some pieces being moved. I know Kevin Love is up in the air. Could go to the Nets, could go to Lakers, Clippers. Heat, who knows? I don't know. Lakers. I think the Nets got that injured player exception for Spencer Dinwiddie, so they got about 14 million they could throw at him plus. And the Lakers only really have a veteran minimum, so it'll depend on what he wants to do. I know last time he played with LeBron, he didn't fit the best, so I've seen a lot of Lakers fans talking about it today, but I mean, there's a lot of overlap between Lakers and LeBron fans as of late, so I don't know why the LeBron fans don't remember that he was kind of an iffy fit with LeBron. I'm gonna be honest here. I think LeBron kind of ruined. I mean, Kevin Love got the ring, but the way Kevin Love used to play, I think, was a much better player than what he is currently. So we'll have to see if he can bounce back, depending on what team he gets on. See if he can bring back, because Minnesota Kevin Love was sometimes a 40-point, 20 rebound a game guy, and then he went and just became a spot up shooter. I know some people may say the spot up shooter was good, but I myself like a decent big man, and the guy going from 40 points and 20 rebounds down to 20 or 22 points. I'm sorry for stuttering there, but I'm trying to think. But his stats were just kind of off. I don't know. Maybe he's not the same player he was, but still be a good piece for somewhere. Cavs are. I don't expect the Cavs to hold hard. I really don't. I'm sorry for Cleveland fans, but you've had some moments in the sun. I know how it feels to be in Detroit, to have little spurts of relevance and then be down in the dumps. But Cavs are looking up. I just don't really think it's this year. And I'll talk in a minute. Teams that I see coming up. Hawks have looked mediocre at times, but I don't know. Hawks have got more talent wise on the roster than the Cavs do, so I expect the Hawks to hold. Knicks, I do not expect the Knicks to make the playoffs. I expect two teams that are sitting down in the lower seeds. I'll just skip to them because Bulls Magic, I mean, they're kind of iffy. We'll see how everything fills out. But the Raptors have won 4 of their last 5. Siakam's looking better. They're looking okay. They're getting better. And they should pull for K-Love if I'm going to be honest, because they need a better center, and that could work for them. But we'll see what happens. They have won 4 of their last 5, starting to look up. OG Anunoby had 30 the other night. So the Raptors, I think, are going to move into there and knock either Cleveland or the Knicks out, maybe even the Hawks for a little bit. But I think Hawks can move back in, whereas the other teams could not. Heat need to get Jimmy Butler back ASAP. They need to get him healthy. And then they need to be in playoff contention, because if Jimmy's healthy, they can make a run in the playoffs. But if Jimmy's not healthy, they're not going to do too well in the playoffs, as they are doing right now at 6-9. I don't see the Hornets making a push either, even though they are the same record as the Raptors and the Heat. But yeah, it should be interesting. There's still a lot of movement. There's been some games the games are kind of off because they've had to postpone some. I don't know what they're going to do with the postponements, but we'll have to see. They haven't written the schedule for the next part of the season, so I don't know what we've got in tail for that, especially with all the postponements. But yeah, East. We'll flip to the West here. Lakers. Top dogs 13-4, Jazz 12-4, Clippers 12-4, Trailblazers 8-6, Nuggets 9-7. Yeah, 9-7. Grizzlies 7-6, Suns 8-7, Mavs 8-8, Warriors 8-8, Spurs 8-8, Thunder 6-8, Rockets 6-9, Kings 6-10, Pelicans 5-10, and the Timberwolves are 4-11. Now, I'm going to start actually with the Timberwolves here. What a lot of people, and I didn't even know until a couple weeks ago, is that outside of the top 3, because of the Wiggins-D'Angelo trade, to get D'Angelo Russell, they traded Andrew Wiggins and their first-round pick next year, top 3 protected. What that top 3 protected means is that if the Timberwolves suck as they're doing so, and they don't suck enough to be a top 3 pick, which it's kind of screwy now with the odds because they got tired of tanking. Philly killed that. But If they are out of the top 3, their pick goes to Golden State. So Golden State already borderline playoffs, 9, same record as the Mavs who are in 8, will have another shot at a maybe 4, 5. Who knows? Probably won't go any lower than 10. I wouldn't think. They'll have another decent top tier pick next year, unless it goes top 3. And I mean, if Minnesota sucks like this, it very well could go top 3. So we'll have to see what they've got in them. But yeah, the Timberwolves at 15 is not good for the franchise if they don't get a top 3 pick, because that means they sucked for basically no reason. They just suck to suck because they suck, which has been Minnesota's thing for years now. They just can't ever seem to get it around. At 14, Pelicans are really surprised me. They've let me down hard. I thought they were going to be borderline, right in the fight with these guys right now that are 500, like the Warriors, Spurs, Mavs, Suns, Grizzlies, guys like that. But they are at bottom tier. Maybe we'll get Zion, another good player, I guess, is the only thing with this. But today, trade talks came out with Alonzo and J.J. Redick possibly being moved for Kelly Oubre from the looks of it, because I'm just putting that together myself because of rumors that the Warriors are looking to shop Oubre to the Pelicans. That's been a rumor. And then now the Pelicans have came out. I think this is actually even before the Oubre thing with Alonzo and Redick, which I think the salaries match up pretty even, so that would be interesting. I don't know how they would both fit. I can see Redick fitting in Golden State, but I don't know how Lonzo's fit is exactly. Maybe Steve Kerr's cooking up something there, or maybe it's just to even out the money on the cap when they trade him to get even money because they have to balance the trade. I don't know. But all I know is Lonzo has had a fairly mediocre season. He has not picked it up at all. They were talking about him being in the most improved player of the year talk, but I've seen none of that, and from his stats, I do not see it. So, yeah, it could be interesting. I mean, he's a good defender, a good playmaker, but his offense is too weak. I don't know where Lonzo fits in with Golden State. But the Pels need something. I did think that they needed more scoring, so Oubre would pack punch there. With Golden State, they want him to shoot too much. If he wasn't there for a while there, they would be 4th in 3-pointers if they didn't have Oubre. So they need to ship him out, and this could be a decent trade for them, getting Redick out there, another shooter. Need a decent 6-man. They've had inconsistencies with bench scoring, and Redick can get you some scoring off the bench, so that'll be good. I'm going to skip through some of the Rockets. Going to be awfully hard for them to make a push in the West. You got Wall and Oladipo, and you've got Wood and Boogie Cousins. Decent squad if they're all healthy. Just too many good teams in the West. Spurs and Warriors, both 9 and 10 right now. I definitely see the Warriors making it in. One that surprised me, and they've had some postponed games too that have helped them. I don't know whether they would have dropped if they didn't. But Memphis is at 6 right now. I did not expect the Grizzlies to be this high. I really didn't. Memphis didn't have Ja for a little bit there, for about 4 or 5 weeks there, actually. And they don't have Jaren Jackson Jr., and they're still being the 6th seed right now. It's heavily surprising to me. We'll have to see how that goes. I don't know when Jaren Jackson Jr. comes back. Let me Google it real quick. Jaren Jackson Jr. Here we go, timetable. Return not that far. So that was 10 days ago. Let's look at this article. I'll read it. I know this is a little bit off topic, but this does mean a lot. Said that his return is not that far. Jaren Jackson, Wednesday, next 3 games postponed for the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are kind of iffy. Remains out Wednesday. Once Jackson does return, somebody's okay. Not a whole lot there. Thank you, CBS Sports, for that. It was very vague. Nice clickbait title. I'm not looking at okay, there is just a bunch of crap. Guess that's how the internet is anyway, just a bunch of crap. But I don't know when his times table is, but it's got to be fairly quick. Probably another 2 weeks, I would say, maybe 3. That's just off the top of my head because I just looked on the internet and can't get anything good anyway. I might as well just make up a time. But the Grizzlies, they were 8th seed, probably would have been an 8th seed lock in the normal season last year if it hadn't got postponed. But, yeah, they're better than I thought they were, and I guess that's why you play the game, so we know where everybody is, truly. Suns have fell off. They've just had a lot of hard matchups in the last few weeks. They're getting it together. They've had a big guy step up like Mikal Bridges, and just be big for them. He's had a couple 30-point games, which is highly unexpected. I didn't think he was that kind of player, but he just keeps getting better. You got Jay Crowder there. You got Chris Paul. Ayton's doing well. And D-Book is unfortunately, I don't know if he's hurt long term, but he didn't go out of their last game against, not sure who it was against, but he was out for the last part of the game, and they ended up losing. So it's just little stuff that's caused them to lose. And the Suns should be in it for the whole year. I expect the Suns' drought to end because they've got Chris Paul for one thing, and what he did with OKC last year should show you enough that this team will make the playoffs. I'm going to skip. Nuggets are doing okay. They finally got in the playoffs. Good for them. Trailblazers, 8-6. By losing CJ and Nurkic, I expect the Trailblazers to fall. I don't know how far they will fall, but I don't think they're going to be any higher than 7 by the time CJ returns, which is 2 months. I don't expect them to heavily excel without Nurkic or CJ out. They already had struggles with Nurkic out in the past, and to lose Dame's sidekick and CJ, it's going to hurt. I don't know how the Trailblazers do. We'll come back to this in a couple weeks and see where they're at. The Jazz have heavily surprised me this season. Let me see if I can find, where did I slip that paper? Here we go. Where did I have the Jazz start of the season? I had them at 9. Oh my gosh, I hate looking at this list. Wow, okay. This is why you write it down, so you can remember how stupid you were at the start of the season. Wow. Who did I... Oh, okay. All right. But, yeah, I had the Jazz at 9 at the start of the season, and they're at 2. One thing that's helping the Jazz is they've been together for a long time. That team hasn't seen a lot of movement. They even brought back Derek Favors, who left for New Orleans for a year. So they got better. They got guys to play minutes there where Favors had been there. They wouldn't have played minutes. You got guys used to each other. Favors now coming off the bench, I think. So you've got just a decent squad there. Good defensively because you got Conley and you got Gobert. Gobert's been playing above what I thought he would play. Still not worth that contract by any means, but I guess for them it's okay. It's okay. It's not great that they gave him that contract. And you got Mitchell. Mitchell's like a D-Wade. He's just fairly good all-around player. Probably going to be a Hall of Famer if the right things come into play. And Utah's just very good right now. Will it last? I don't know. But that team has constantly been in the playoffs, so they'll be in the playoffs. But I don't know how long they can keep this hot streak up. But yeah, that's how I feel about the standings. I didn't talk about teams that I felt like would just be rhetoric to talk about. Lakers. They look good. They've just been constantly winning. Been increasing the margin a little bit more, which is what held me back from when I made my original power rankings. Putting them at 1, but they're definitely top team right now. You got the Sixers. Sixers look good. They look better with Embiid out there. Embiid is the key to that team. I think you can move Simmons. I see that now. But I still think they work well with Simmons and Embiid out there. Clippers look decent. PG's playing better. He's playing like he's worth the contract. And Bucks consistent. Celtics look fairly good. Just all around, just those teams look decent. But yeah, I'm gonna move on to the Detroit talk right now. Detroit. Let's just talk about the Lions. I'll get back to the Pistons in a second. But they hired Coach Dan Campbell. Well, now Coach Dan Campbell. And his press conference was quite unusual. He talked about biting somebody's kneecaps off. But, I mean, that's going to get you talks. But that's going to get you talked about on the media. But I'm just happy to see somebody who actually seems to care about the team. I think he played for Detroit at one point. And I'm just happy to see somebody who cares about the team, wants to take them farther. Because we all know Detroit's been the laughingstock for, better part of 50 years at this point. Just constantly, no playoff wins. I don't know. It's a struggle to be a Lions fan. I guess I kind of fell into that just because everybody around here, I'm from around here. I try to root for the local professional teams, but it's hard to be a Lions fan. Hopefully he can turn it around. Seems to have that energy. Now let's talk about the Pistons. I'm liking where the Pistons are at. My favorite game that I saw this week was the one where Blake and D-Rose sat, and they let the young guys play. Sekou had 10 points. I think we lost by 4 points to Philly, and then Blake played the next game against Philly. But we lost by 4 points, but we had multiple guys in double figures. All the young guys got their minutes. It looked good. I really wish they would trade Blake and D-Rose, and I wish Dwayne Casey would pull his head out of somewhere and figure out that you're the guy that controls the minutes and stop saying we need to find minutes for this guy when you're the guy that does the rotation. Will you just shut up and do your job? I'm getting really, really tired of freaking Dwayne Casey. He's getting on my nerves so much. No, I just hit a trigger point. I know I did right there. It triggers myself. He's not as bad as Stan Van Gundy, but he's slowly getting on my nerves. Edge by edge, I assume that as the season goes on, you'll be able to see where my anger is from each podcast as my anger grows towards Dwayne Casey. You're going to suck this season. Just deal with it. Suck it up. You're getting paid money. They're not going to fire you unless you act like a stupid idiot like you are right now for a long period of time. And just shut up. And eventually, if you hold strong, in 3 or 4 years, you'll have a competitive roster. But the time is not now, you stupid idiot. We're tanking and we don't even have to try. That's how stupid he is. We don't even have to try to tank because we just generally suck. It's not like we've done like like Philly did where they traded off good players. We didn't have any good players to trade off because we just sucked. We traded off Kennard. That didn't help us at all. We sucked anyway. Drummond was just a reset. That's the closest thing you could say we traded off our best player to suck, but we still have Wood at that point. We were somewhat competitive. I went and watched the Pelicans game and went to OT. But we have the ability to tank without excessively showing it like Philly did. Just shut up and deal with it, you stupid idiot. Casey is so stupid sometimes. You're not in Toronto anymore, man. Just deal with a couple of years of sucking. You'll get there eventually. Well, that's going to be it. That's enough rant. I could go on for a while about Casey. I don't dislike the man yet, but he's starting to really get on my nerves. Thank you guys for watching. I think I'm going to throw it back today to an old outro I used to do. Before I do that, though, if you're on the YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're on the podcast apps, thank you for listening. But I'm going to throw it back to my old YouTube outro just for today. I'm going to end it with a Mamba out. Thank you for watching.